And first of all, what the f is wrong with a Pikachu onesie? I would still smoke a nigga ass in a Pikachu onesie. So you better watch it. And I ain't Pikachu today, nigga.
What the hell your daddy had to say about this? You know your daddy will f you up expeditiously.
I don't know. I'm still trying to decide whether this nigga a kid or a baby smoking weed and shit. I'm looking at him. I don't know. He's got a little baby face. He ain't got no mustache, no beard, no nothing. Like, how old are you? New tip now?
What's up, gang? Let's go with another T.I. and King Harris drama. T.I. is reportedly furious after his son, King Harris, became the center of a viral podcast moment tied to that now famous Pikachu onesie arrest. What began as light teasing has quickly turned into something much bigger, and the backlash is no longer staying inside one interview clip. Everything seemed to explode on April 28, 2026, when footage of King Harris appearing on a podcast started spreading across social media at high speed. During the conversation, the hosts brought up the arrest that had already become internet legend. They zeroed in on the mugshot. King standing in front of the booking camera wearing a bright yellow Pikachu onesie from head to toe, looking completely serious in a moment that many viewers found surreal. The panel laughed. The crowd laughed. King, however, was clearly not amused. That reaction changed the tone instantly.
His ass going to prison. If you goddamn keep that shit up, his ass going to prison. Ain't no way around it. Ain't nothing I'm gonna be able to do about it. Can't nobody stop it but him. You know what I mean? I've already had the conversation. I've already made my peace with it. Because I know that energy. I was that energy. I know exactly how it's gonna turn out.
Instead of brushing it off, King snapped back after being mocked over the arrest, and that tense response only added fuel to an already growing online firestorm. Within hours, the clip was everywhere. Comment sections lit up, reaction channels jumped on it. Social media split into two loud camps almost immediately. One side praised him for refusing to let people play with his name. To them, he was defending himself and not allowing a joke to define him. The other side argued the opposite. Critics said his anger made the moment even more viral because it reminded everyone why the image had become so unforgettable in the first place. This wasn't just an arrest people remembered. It was an arrest packaged in a way the internet was never going to ignore. King Harris didn't simply get detained. He ended up attached to a visual that turned into a meme almost overnight. That is what made the situation so difficult to shake. People were not just talking about the case itself. They were replaying the image, repeating the outfit, and turning the entire moment into online comedy. The original incident happened earlier that month, on April 12, 2026, in Peachtree Corners, just outside Atlanta, Georgia. According to reports, the 21-year-old was stopped during a traffic incident after officers allegedly recorded his camel-wrapped Tesla Cybertruck traveling 70 miles per hour in a 45-mile-per-hour zone near Holcomb Bridge Road.
So yesterday, King Harris, aka T.I. and Tiny's son, was arrested for speeding and possession of a firearm and some open containers of marijuana. It was a lot, but he got locked up. This is his mugshot.
That alone would have drawn attention, yet the outfit is what pushed the story into another category entirely. Because he was reportedly wearing a Pikachu onesie during the stop, the booking photo took on a life of its own once it hit the internet. In a matter of hours, it stopped being just another celebrity-adjacent arrest story and became viral content. Memes spread fast, jokes multiplied, screenshots bounced from platform to platform. Before long, the image was being treated less like a serious legal moment and more like one of those bizarre celebrity snapshots that people cannot stop reposting. Now, the podcast confrontation has revived all of it. What might have faded away as an embarrassing headline suddenly feels fresh again because viewers didn't just revisit the mugshot, they watched King react to it in real time. That added a new layer to the story, and it gave the internet exactly what it always looks for: a viral image, public embarrassment, and a tense response that keeps the cycle going. For T.I., that reportedly makes the whole thing even more personal. It is one thing for a bad moment to circulate online. It is another for your son to be laughed at in front of an audience while the clip keeps spreading across every major platform.
I'm going to cut ties with King, and I'm going to apologize to 50 Cent. Just like he said, King really is a failure. I've solved too many problems for him. to the point where he started to believe that as long as I'm there to back him up, everything can keep going. But this time is different. King was pulled over by the police early in the morning for speeding. They found contraband in his car, and he even refused to cooperate with law enforcement. He was taken away on the spot, and I didn't get to the scene until a few hours later.
If the reports are accurate, that is where the frustration is coming from now. At this point, the situation has clearly moved beyond a single joke. What started as mockery over a strange mugshot has turned into a broader online spectacle, with King Harris caught right in the middle of it. And judging by how quickly the latest clip traveled, this story may not be cooling off anytime soon. On Peachtree Corner Circle, the stop quickly turned into a scene that felt almost unreal. According to multiple reports, the vehicle may have been traveling even faster than initially stated. Gwinnett County officers say they pulled King Harris over after clocking the Cybertruck at more than 75 miles per hour in a 45 miles per hour zone. From the moment officers approached the vehicle, they said several things stood out right away. A handgun was reportedly visible on the dashboard, and an open THC container was allegedly sitting in the center console.
We are getting our first-hand look at body camera footage showing the arrest of 21-year-old King Harris, the son of rapper T.I., taken into custody over the weekend by Gwinnett County Police after they say he was speeding, going 65 and a 45 in this Tesla Cybertruck. When they pulled him over, they saw there was a handgun on the dashboard. They asked him to step out, but Harris refused multiple times. At one point, he said he didn't feel safe. The officer later told him he was under arrest for obstruction. Harris called his lawyer and eventually complied.
At that point, police instructed King to step out of the truck. What should have been a routine part of the stop did not go smoothly. Officers say he declined to get out more than once, pausing during the encounter to make a few calls to his attorney. After those repeated refusals, police moved forward with an arrest, listing willful obstruction of law enforcement as one of the reasons. Adding to the bizarre nature of the entire moment was what he was wearing. King Harris remained in a Pikachu onesie throughout the exchange, giving the stop an almost unbelievable tone. Even without the legal issues unfolding around him, that outfit alone made the incident feel like something no one would expect to see during a roadside arrest. By the end of the incident, the list of charges had grown. Authorities say Harris was arrested for speeding, a seatbelt violation, willful obstruction of law enforcement officers, and possession of a Schedule II controlled substance after arriving at the jail. Police later stated that an oxycodone pill was allegedly found on his person. As unusual as the stop already was, it did not end there. Rather than staying offline during the arrest, Harris reportedly found time to post a photo of himself wearing the Pikachu onesie before officers returned to his vehicle. That detail alone pushed the story from strange to headline making. The Instagram story made the moment even more surreal. In the caption, he wrote, "Pikachu got pulled over. They not catching this Pikachu tonight."
His mugshot has since circulated widely, showing the young star in a yellow hoodie. Harris was released several hours later after posting a bond of $4,545. Notably, King was wearing a Pikachu costume at the time of his arrest. He documented the ordeal on his Instagram story, joked about being caught with a master ball.
It was a post that only added to the chaos surrounding the stop, especially given everything happening in real time. Taken together, the details created a scene that sounded almost too wild to be real. A speeding Cybertruck, a roadside arrest, visible items that immediately caught police attention, calls to a lawyer during the stop, and all of it unfolding while King Harris was dressed like a cartoon character. Whether people saw it as reckless, bizarre, or simply unbelievable, one thing was clear. This was not an ordinary traffic stop. Not long after King Harris was placed in the back of a patrol car, still dressed in a Pikachu costume, the situation took another dramatic turn. His father, Clifford T.I. Harris Jr., was already heading to the scene and arrived while officers were still handling the aftermath of the stop. Body camera footage later released by the Gwinnett County Police Department shows the moment T.I. got there and spoke briefly with the arresting officer. The exchange makes it clear he wanted answers immediately. This was not a casual appearance or a quick check-in. He showed up with a clear purpose: to find out exactly why his son had been taken into custody and whether anything could be done to stop it from going further. Even with that effort, the situation did not change. T.I. attempted to step in after King Harris was arrested in Georgia, but officers still moved forward with booking him. The footage captures the tense but controlled conversation as police outline the reasons behind the arrest. The traffic stop happened near Holcomb Bridge Road and Peachtree Corners Circle in Peachtree Corners, Georgia on April 12, 2026. Once T.I. arrived, he was seen confronting officers and pressing them for details about what had unfolded during the stop.
70 and a 45. He was instructed to step out of the vehicle because there was a firearm on the dashboard, and we wanted to separate him from that, and he refused.
Did he express his fear for safety?
We got to be safe too.
Okay, but there was absolutely no way to resolve this.
No, he was told multiple times that he needed to get out of the vehicle. He was even told that, according to Supreme Court case law, he is required to exit a vehicle when he is requested to do so by law.
From the officer's perspective, they had a list of issues they say led to the arrest, and they walked him through each one on camera. According to the body cam video, police told T.I. that speed was one factor in the stop. They also mentioned a firearm being visible on the dashboard. On top of that, they said King Harris refused to get out of the vehicle when instructed, which they said led to an obstruction charge. As the conversation continued, officers appeared to explain the sequence of events step by step, while T.I. questioned the decision to arrest his son. What makes the footage especially striking is the contrast between the two sides. On one hand, officers are calmly laying out what they say happened. On the other, a father has just arrived to see his son in custody and is trying to understand how the situation escalated to that point. That tension gives the video its weight. The footage also shows that T.I. was not arriving in confusion. He came ready to challenge what he was hearing. Still, no amount of discussion at the roadside changed the outcome in that moment. King Harris remained under arrest and the booking process continued. Police, according to the released footage, explained that Harris had been asked to step out of the vehicle. That detail became one of the key points in the exchange because it helped frame the officer's explanation for why the stop turned into something much bigger. What may have started as a traffic encounter had clearly become a more serious confrontation by the time T.I. reached the scene. As captured on camera, the moment is less about shouting and more about a stark reality setting in. A high-profile father had arrived hoping to intervene, yet the decision had already been made. Officers were firm in their account, and T.I., despite pressing for answers, could not reverse what had already happened.
Law enforcement officer, Pennsylvania versus Men's, he stated that, he doesn't have to, he doesn't want to. He was informed that he was under arrest at the time. He was still continuing to refuse to exit the vehicle. It wasn't until his lawyers called him back and said, "You need to get out of the car right now." When he got out of the car, he was placed under arrest.
The entire scene, preserved in body cam footage, offers a direct look at the roadside exchange that followed King Harris's arrest. Officers first tried to get him out of the vehicle after spotting a firearm in plain view, but he did not cooperate. At the same time, King was seated in the back of the patrol car, continuing to trade words with police as the situation unfolded. Once King Harris had been placed in handcuffs, officers used his phone to contact someone who could come retrieve both the car and the weapon from the scene. The person they reached was T.I. Body camera footage captures his arrival, and the moment is striking. Rather than escalating things further, T.I. appears to be trying to calm the interaction, asking questions, piecing together what happened, and looking visibly disappointed by the trouble his son had gotten himself into. Even with all the tension surrounding the arrest, King Harris was not held for long. Records show he was booked at roughly 2:30 in the morning and released a little after 8:15 a.m. after posting a $4,545 bond. In other words, he spent only a few hours behind bars before walking free. That release, however, did not bring the drama to an end. If anything, it immediately spilled onto social media. Soon after getting out, King posted a celebratory video of himself driving a go-kart while still wearing the same Pikachu onesie that had already become part of the story. In the caption, he made light of the situation by declaring that Pikachu was free and comparing the police to Team Rocket, the troublemaking villains from the Pokemon franchise. The post drew even more attention because it tied directly back to a recent trip to Tokyo where he had already been photographed wearing that exact Pikachu outfit. That made the costume feel less like a random joke and more like a deliberate callback, turning the arrest fallout into a kind of online performance. Not long after that, he uploaded another post. This time, the Pikachu onesie was gone, but the message remained confrontational. In the image, he posed with an obscene hand gesture directed at the camera, and his caption included a hostile statement aimed at law enforcement. Taken together, the sequence painted a very clear picture. There was the arrest, the body cam footage, T.I.'s attempt to manage the aftermath, the brief jail stay, and then the immediate social media reaction that kept the incident in the spotlight.
Harris's choice of clothing, a Pikachu onesie, drawing significant attention. He documented the traffic stop on Instagram with the selfie. According to TMZ, officers say Harris was driving 60 miles per hour in a 45 mile per hour zone, and when they pulled him over, they say they spotted a firearm.
Instead of stepping back after getting released, King seemed to lean directly into the attention, turning a serious legal moment into something more public, more provocative, and far more difficult to ignore. He allegedly made a wildly inappropriate remark about an officer's wife, and once that moment hit the internet, people reacted instantly. Online commentary was relentless. Nothing about the response was subtle, and for many viewers, it felt even bigger because this was not an isolated incident. King Harris has already built a history of legal trouble, which is why this latest episode is drawing so much attention. There's context behind the backlash. People aren't just reacting to one viral moment. They're looking at a series of incidents that, taken together, create a much more complicated picture. Back in 2024, Harris was arrested again after an encounter that began at a gas station. Authorities said he allegedly came close to striking a police vehicle while pulling out of the location. Once the officer initiated the traffic stop, the situation quickly expanded. According to the officer, there was a marijuana odor coming from the car. During the stop, police also discovered that Harris had an active warrant out of Pickens County for failing to appear in court. Reports from the arrest indicate that Harris was cooperative during the encounter. Afterward, he was taken in and booked at DeKalb County Jail. On its own, that arrest already raised eyebrows. Yet the background to that warrant made the story even more layered. The Pickens County issue reportedly stretched back to an earlier case tied to a 2022 traffic stop. That prior matter involved allegations including speeding and DUI-related charges. In other words, the 2024 arrest did not come out of nowhere.
So check it, October 14th, 2024. That's the date that changed everything for King Harris. This young blood was riding through Dunwoody, Georgia, probably thinking he was just living his best life, when boom, he nearly clipped a police cruiser pulling out of a gas station. The officer stopped him for failure to yield, noticed the smell of marijuana, and observed a firearm on Harris's hip.
It was connected to unresolved legal issues that had been following him for some time. Eventually, those Pickens County charges were dropped in August 2025. Legally, that chapter was closed. Still, the public conversation did not end there. Even though the case itself went away, many people felt the larger concerns remained. That's where the criticism started to shift. Instead of focusing only on court outcomes, attention turned to the repeated run-ins themselves.
What makes this especially difficult for Harris is the pattern people believe they are seeing. One incident can sometimes be dismissed as a mistake or misunderstanding. Multiple encounters, however, invite a very different reaction. Fair or not, repeated headlines tend to shape public opinion fast. That is why this newest controversy is landing with so much force. It's not simply about one comment, one stop, or one arrest. It's about the growing perception that King Harris keeps finding himself in the middle of situations involving law enforcement in Georgia. Every new development adds another layer, and every old case gets pulled back into the spotlight. For critics, the timeline is hard to overlook. There was the gas station stop. There was the discovery of the outstanding Pickens County warrant. There was the connection to the earlier 2022 traffic case involving speeding and DUI allegations. Then came the eventual dismissal of those charges in 2025. Each piece may have its own explanation, but together they create a narrative that the internet has been quick to lock onto. At this point, that may be the biggest issue of all. Once a public figure develops a reputation for repeated legal trouble, every new clip, every police interaction, and every headline gets judged through that lens. Whether the charges stick or disappear, the image starts to settle in. And for King Harris, that image is becoming harder to shake as his list of encounters with Georgia law enforcement continues to grow.
In a surprisingly brief stretch of time, King's run-ins with police appear to grow more serious with each new episode. What began as routine traffic encounters seemed to progress into warrant issues.
then into felony drug allegations, and eventually into tense moments where cooperation gave way to refusing to step out of the car. None of it stayed private. Every incident unfolded in full view of the internet. Because King records nearly everything, his legal troubles don't just become headlines, they become content almost instantly.
And another thing, I'm a free man. Stop, goddamn, I'm not locked up. I'm straight. I was, but I'm back.
Before official paperwork has even settled, clips, posts, and reactions are already circulating online. Rather than keeping a low profile, Harris seems completely uninterested in hiding from the situation. In fact, he leaned into it so quickly that his mugshot became part of the story before many people even realized he had been taken into custody. That level of confidence, or defiance, depending on how you see it, helped set the stage for the podcast mockery that later pushed him into such a heated reaction. The hosts weren't creating comedy out of nowhere. The setup was already there. King had practically presented them with the punchline himself.
Consider the image the internet was given. A 21-year-old, the son of one of Atlanta's most recognizable rap figures, being booked while wearing a Pikachu onesie. During the arrest, he was posting online. He compared officers to cartoon-style villains. Not long after, he was publicly celebrating his release while riding around on a go-kart. Put all of that together, and it becomes the kind of bizarre, highly shareable moment people online latch onto immediately. Still, reducing the entire situation to the outfit misses the bigger issue. The costume is what made the story impossible to ignore, but it was not the only detail that mattered. According to police, a pill discovered on Harris at the jail was identified as oxycodone. At this point, however, it remains uncertain whether Authorities say there is a valid prescription tied to the substance in question. Beyond that, police have shared very little about the handgun reportedly seen on the dashboard, and they have not clarified whether the THC container could lead to more charges. What is clear is that King Harris is dealing with a felony drug possession case, and that alone carries serious weight. In Georgia, cases involving controlled substances are handled aggressively, especially when someone already has a history of prior arrests. That raises the stakes considerably and puts even more attention on every decision surrounding the case. The public reaction, however, has gone far beyond the courtroom. On that podcast, the people mocking King Harris were not simply making fun of an outfit. What drew their laughter was the meaning behind it. To them, the look symbolized something bigger, a widening disconnect between the persona he has tried to present and the direction his real-life choices seem to be taking. That is why those jokes landed so hard. They did more than embarrass him for a moment. They challenged the image entirely. Once that image was put under pressure, the performance appeared to fall apart. When the time came to support all the confidence, all the talk, and all the posturing, there was very little substance behind it. Instead of composure or control, what the public saw was a messy, emotional response that quickly turned into a humiliating spectacle. For many viewers, that moment felt revealing. It wasn't just about one bad appearance or one rough exchange online. It looked like a crack in a larger narrative, one that had been building for a while. The version of King Harris that had been projected outward suddenly did not seem to match what people were seeing in real time. That contrast is exactly what made the reaction so intense and why the criticism spread so fast. To make sense of why T.I. became such a central figure in all of this, you have to look at the bigger picture. His reaction was not limited to one isolated incident. It stretches from appearing in body cam footage in the early hours of the morning to seeing his son become the target of ridicule across podcasts and social media. Each of those moments adds another layer to a relationship that has played out in front of the public for years. This is not a simple story of a celebrity father stepping in during a difficult moment. The history between them has been complicated, emotional, and extremely visible. Their disagreements, their attempts at guidance, and the public fallout have all unfolded with an audience watching closely. That visibility has made every setback feel larger and every reaction more intense. Understanding that background is key, because none of these moments exist on their own. The legal trouble, the online mockery, the body cam appearance, and the public embarrassment are all connected to a longer story that has been growing more tense over time. What seems like a sudden scandal is really the latest chapter in a much deeper and more turbulent dynamic. Clifford Joseph King Harris III, born on August 25, 2004, King Harris comes from one of entertainment's most recognizable families. He is the son of rapper T.I. and R&B singer Tamika Tiny Harris, and he grew up as part of the Harris household that viewers have seen across multiple reality TV series. Music was an interest he started chasing early. In the 2000s, Harris began putting out songs independently under the name Kid San, building his own identity while living under an enormous spotlight. Along the way, he also appeared on reality television and picked up a few small acting parts, keeping one foot in music and the other in the broader entertainment world.
Start my day off at the mall, nigga. How it ended with my baby mama in the pod, nigga. They did my dog bad, I just wonder what my dog did him. Now it's clear as day why you answer my call, nigga.
These lyrics are deep, man.
What my child would. I'ma pop my shit and top my shit cause I got God with me.
That's facts. Talk to talk. King been dropping some really good music. He got up next.
Still, having a famous last name can come with pressure that most people never experience. For King, that pressure became impossible to ignore because his father is not just well known, but a platinum-selling, Grammy-winning rapper with a larger-than-life public image. Trying to define yourself while constantly being compared to someone with that level of success can create tension. And in King's case, that tension eventually spilled into public view in a major way. Everything came to a head in November 2023 during a family event that was being live-streamed. What should have been a routine public outing quickly turned into a headline-making confrontation. During an Atlanta Falcons game, Harris appeared on Instagram Live while getting into a heated exchange with both of his parents over the subject of how he was raised. At the center of the disagreement was a sharp contrast in perspective. T.I. pointed to the reality of his own past, highlighting what it meant to come from poverty before rising to fame and financial success. King, on the other hand, pushed back against the idea that his life should be reduced to a simple label. He clearly bristled at the repeated suggestion that he had been handed everything from birth and grew up with a silver spoon in his mouth. What made the moment stand out was not just the family conflict itself, but the fact that it unfolded in real time for the public to watch. A deeply personal debate about privilege, struggle, and identity suddenly became part of the internet's non-stop conversation cycle. Viewers weren't just seeing a disagreement between parents and their son, they were watching a much bigger clash between lived experience and public perception. For T.I., the issue seemed tied to the gap between the hardship he remembers and the comfort he believes his son experienced. From King's perspective, the frustration appeared to come from feeling misunderstood and boxed in by assumptions about who he is and what he has gone through. Even with wealth and fame in the picture, the exchange showed that family dynamics can become complicated fast, especially when pride, image, and personal history are all involved. The fallout did not end when the game was over. Once the live stream clips began circulating, the argument took on a life of its own online. Social media users dissected every word, every reaction, and every detail, turning a private family dispute into a larger public spectacle. Instead of fading away after the event, the tension carried over to the internet and fueled ongoing discussion for weeks. In the end, the moment became about more than one argument at a football game. It exposed the complicated reality of growing up in a famous family, where even personal disagreements can instantly become public entertainment. For King Harris, it was another reminder that carving out an identity under a legendary last name is never simple, especially when the world is watching. Rumors, family tension, and non-stop public opinions turned the situation into a major talking point. Although King has never openly doubted who his father is, he did post a painful question on social media, asking whether he was ever unwanted. That message came after a very public clash between him and his dad, which sent people searching for answers and digging further into their private family dynamic. Later, King looked back on that chapter during an appearance on Reggie Carter's Airtime podcast, and the way he described it stood out. To explain the bond he felt he had with his father, he reached for a pop culture comparison that instantly caught attention. He referenced James Ghost St. Patrick and Tariq James St. Patrick, the complicated father-son duo from Power. For anyone unfamiliar, their relationship on the show was filled with constant conflict. power struggles, and emotional distance, ending in tragedy in the final season when Tariq turned against his father. That was the example King chose to make sense of his own experience. According to King, the connection felt similar because he believed he was being pushed into maturity before he was prepared for it. In the same way Ghost expected Tariq to step up and carry responsibility within the family, King said he often felt that same kind of pressure from his dad. His comments suggested that, from his perspective, the issue was never simply about discipline or expectations. It was also about timing, readiness, and the emotional weight of trying to grow up under a spotlight. T.I., for his part, appeared to recognize at least some of what his son was expressing. Even with the tension that had played out publicly, he later offered words that sounded far more supportive than confrontational. During an appearance on The Breakfast Club in December 2025, T.I. spoke positively about King and made it clear that despite everything, he sees real value in him.
He described his son as highly gifted, said he has a big heart, and emphasized how deeply he cares.
His ass going to prison. If you goddamn keep this shit up, his ass going to prison. Ain't no way around it. Ain't nothing I'm gonna be able to do about it. Can't nobody stop it but him. You know what I mean? I've already had the conversation. I've already made my peace with it. Because I know that energy. I was that energy. I know exactly how it's going to turn out.
Those comments painted a very different picture from the public friction people had become used to seeing. Rather than focusing only on the conflict, T.I. shifted attention toward King's potential and character. He also addressed the criticism surrounding King's behavior with a note of perspective. T.I.'s point was simple. King is still young. By comparing his son's age to his own younger years, he seemed to suggest that mistakes, attitude, and rough edges are not unusual at that stage of life. That framing didn't erase the tension between them, but it did soften the conversation and add some context. Taken together, both sides revealed something important. King's remarks showed a son trying to explain what pressure felt like from his point of view. T.I.'s comments, meanwhile, hinted at a father who may not fully agree with every choice, but still sees the bigger picture. What made the story so compelling was not just the conflict itself, but the fact that each of them, in different ways, appeared to be trying to define the relationship in public while still living through it in real time. That's why the moment resonated with so many people. It wasn't only celebrity family drama. Beneath the headlines was a more familiar story about expectations, misunderstandings, and the challenge of growing up when everyone is watching.
Back then, King was still just a young guy trying to enjoy being young. From his point of view, people needed to stop picking him apart and give him room to mature, make mistakes, and figure life out on his own terms. For a while, it seemed like that approach was finally paying off. By the start of 2025, the tension between King and his father appeared to ease in a major way. King shared that his dad had begun showing more responsibility, and the two had come to a clearer understanding of each other, their roles, and the direction their lives were taking. What once looked like a serious family divide started to heal. A big part of that breakthrough came from something surprisingly simple. They realized they were incredibly similar. Their clashes were not just about disagreement. In many ways, they were reflections of each other, and that made everything more intense. Once they recognized that, rebuilding the bond became possible. The relationship between father and son seemed stronger, more honest, and far more grounded than before. Still, that peace did not last forever. When 2026 arrived, the situation shifted again. Only this time, the drama came from a completely different direction. In February of that year, T.I. released what was described as his retirement album, Kill the King. The project immediately drew attention, but one track in particular started making serious noise. Let 'Em Know quickly emerged as one of the standout records of early 2026 and became a major talking point. Its momentum was hard to ignore. The song climbed to the top spot at urban radio and gained traction across multiple platforms and charts, from Instagram buzz to Billboard recognition. For a so-called retirement release, it was anything but quiet. T.I. had once again found himself at the center of the conversation, and the attention around the record only intensified what came next. At nearly the same moment, his long-simmering conflict with 50 Cent flared up in a much more public and aggressive lyrical battle. What had been an ongoing rivalry suddenly turned into a full-scale exchange of diss tracks and public shots. The situation escalated fast, and it did not stay limited to just the two rap veterans. Soon, the Harris family became part of the story in a very visible way. T.I., along with his sons Damani and King, released multiple diss records aimed at 50 Cent. That made the feud feel even bigger, because it was no longer just a rap dispute between artists. It had now become personal, family-centered, and impossible to ignore. King, in particular, stepped directly into the middle of it. He did not hang back or stay quiet. Instead, he took a strong stand in defense of his mother, Tiny, after 50 Cent shared disrespectful memes about her online. For King, this was not only about rap or image, it was about protecting family, and he made that position clear by jumping in fully.
T.I. responded by saying he was proud, a statement that added another layer to the moment. After all the ups and downs between father and son, this feud unexpectedly became a new kind of proving ground.
So I've made a decision. Until he learns how to take responsibility for himself, I will no longer carry the consequences for him as his father. But if one day he truly stops and changes, then I will still be his father. I choose to set family ties aside.
King was no longer just a young man trying to be understood. In this moment, he was stepping forward as someone ready to defend the people closest to him. That is what made this chapter so complicated. Just when it looked like the family had moved past old internal struggles, they were pulled into a new conflict from the outside. The father-son relationship had improved, but now the spotlight shifted to loyalty, public pressure, and a feud that kept getting louder. What began as reconciliation was suddenly wrapped up in music, controversy, and a very public family stand. King's father had already been stepping in behind the scenes. Even with that support, though, T.I. clearly had a line he did not want crossed. One moment stood out in particular, seeing King in a shirt featuring 50 Cent's late mother. T.I. made it clear that was where he drew the boundary. He admitted that as soon as he saw it, he felt it had gone too far. There was pride in the way he spoke about his son's confidence and willingness to stand tall. At the same time, there was an unmistakable sense of worry. From his perspective, King's intensity was no longer just bold energy. It was starting to move into dangerous territory, the kind of momentum that can quickly turn into public fallout.
Not long after that, things kept escalating. First came the Pikachu arrest. Soon after, there was the podcast moment that turned into a public embarrassment. Then came the heated reaction that made everything even louder. Looking at the sequence, it becomes obvious this was not some random blow-up that caught T.I. off guard. For him, this appeared to be part of a pattern he had already been trying to manage. During a recent appearance on the Ebro Laura Rosenberg show, T.I. opened up about how much effort he had been putting into trying to keep King steady. His comments painted a picture of a father who had been working for a while to keep his son from drifting too far into chaos. This was not a new concern. It was something he had been actively dealing with, trying to guide, correct, and contain before the headlines got worse. That is what makes the body cam footage from 1 a.m. in Peachtree Corners hit with a different kind of weight. When T.I. appeared on that scene, it was not some isolated moment where he suddenly got dragged into a problem out of nowhere. By that point, he had already been in this role before. He had already found himself stepping in after decisions by King spiraled into public drama. There is a huge difference between watching your child trend online and actually being the one called to the scene when things break down. T.I. was not reacting from a distance. He was physically there, trying to calm the situation, trying to speak with officers, and trying to prevent the night from becoming something even bigger. That context changes everything.
Later, when podcast hosts and online critics took that same footage and used it to make King the punchline, the situation likely felt even more personal for T.I. To the internet, it may have looked like another viral clip to replay, analyze, and mock. For him, it was the memory of a real moment he had lived through firsthand, one where he was trying to hold things together while the situation was slipping into spectacle. That is why this story carries more weight than simple online drama. Underneath the headlines and viral reactions is a father watching his son test limits in public while trying to stop those moments from turning into something irreversible. The frustration is obvious. The concern is impossible to miss. And once you understand how many times T.I. may have already had to intervene, the fallout from that podcast mockery lands very differently. For years, the Harris family has lived their private tensions in full public view, and this weekend simply added one more moment to a story people have been watching for a long time. At the center of it is King Harris, a young black man trying to figure out adulthood while growing up under a spotlight that rarely gives him room to make mistakes quietly. Fame, legal trouble, family expectations, and constant public attention have all followed him at once. Before he's had the chance to fully shape his own identity, headlines have often done it for him.
Now, life has entered a new phase. King is a father. His son, King Harris Jr., was born in November to King and his girlfriend, J. Nijanana Epps. That shift alone changes the picture. He is no longer only a son moving through the pressure of a famous family. He is now also a parent, responsible for someone looking up to him the same way he once looked up to his own father. King has said that his relationship with T.I. has changed over time, and that the connection between them has matured. That kind of progress usually comes slowly, built through hard conversations, distance, understanding, and experience. Yet just as that growth seems to take shape, another public moment seems to interrupt it. The pattern is familiar. There was the heated exchange at the Falcons game. Then came the Dunwoody arrest. After that, the tension involving 50 Cent added another layer. The widely discussed Pikachu onesie mugshot became one of those images that instantly attached itself to his name online. Later, the podcast blow-up kept the cycle going. Each incident has added to a larger narrative that continues to follow him. Taken together, King Harris's story feels less like a series of isolated moments and more like the portrait of a young man in conflict. On one side, there is the version of him his father may hope to see, disciplined, focused, and able to avoid the traps that come with visibility. On the other side is the person he appears to be right now, still learning, still reacting, still making choices in real time while the world watches.
That tension helps explain why every new situation draws such intense attention. It is not only about what happened in one moment. People are also reacting to what it says about where he is in life, where his family stands, and whether real change is happening behind the scenes. T.I.'s actions make that even clearer. When things escalate, he shows up. He reportedly pulled up at 1 a.m. to confront officers, a move that sent a very direct message about where his priorities are. Whatever the issue may be, family comes first. Public criticism may exist, frustration may be real, and disappointment may not be hidden, but the protective instinct never seems far away. His public comments reflect that same balance. On the radio, T.I. made a point to describe his son as gifted and kind-hearted. That matters because it shows he is not willing to let the public define King only by his worst moments. At the same time, he has also made it clear that there are limits. Support does not mean approval of everything. When situations go too far, he draws a line. Still, the cycle keeps repeating. Every few months, another headline appears, another clip spreads, another debate starts. That is what makes this story so compelling and so complicated. It is not just about celebrity drama. It is about a father trying to protect his son, a son trying to become his own man, and a family doing all of it in front of an audience that never stops watching.
More than anything, T.I.'s response shows one thing. No matter how messy things get in public, the family still operates as the first layer of protection. Everything starts to unravel at moments like this. At this point, one issue matters more than any other. Will King actually take that support to heart from here on out? A recent podcast moment made that question feel even bigger. In the clip, King lashed out and said he would handle someone while they were wearing a Pikachu onesie. Online, it spread fast. Yet the real significance goes beyond shock value or meme potential. What that outburst seemed to communicate was simple. King wants everyone to know he is not retreating, not softening his stance, and not allowing anyone to make him feel diminished. Behind that viral wave is a much more personal story. Somewhere on the other side of all the reposts and reactions is a father who has spent years trying to balance two impossible roles at once. On one hand, he wants his son to express himself freely and live on his own terms. On the other, he has also carried the burden of trying to protect his son from decisions that could cause lasting damage. That tension has likely defined much of their relationship, and moments like this bring it into full view.
Whether the so-called Pikachu situation fades into the background or becomes a major turning point will depend on what happens next in court. That is where the story shifts from internet spectacle to real-world consequences. King is still dealing with felony drug possession charges in Gwinnett County, and those charges remain a serious part of the picture. From here, the matter moves deeper into the Gwinnett County court system. Prosecutors will continue their role, and court records will shape the next steps by setting future filings,
dates, and developments. In other words, the timeline ahead will not be determined by social media commentary or podcast bravado. It will be defined by the legal process. For T.I., this may be the hardest chapter of all. He is someone who built an empire on hustle, then had to rebuild his life and reputation after serving his own federal prison sentence. That history gives this moment an even heavier weight. He understands better than most how quickly a bad decision can become a life-changing problem. He also knows that experience, success, and public influence do not give a parent control over a grown child's choices. That is the part of fatherhood people rarely talk about. Wealth cannot solve it. Fame cannot smooth it over. A powerful name cannot shield someone forever. You can appear in body cam footage. You can speak with officers. You can go on radio and try to frame the situation. None of that guarantees the outcome you want.
At some point, every parent reaches a limit where presence is no longer the same thing as protection. You can stand nearby. You can offer guidance. You can try to intervene before things spiral. Still, the final decision belongs to the person living that life. That is what makes this moment feel so uncomfortable and so revealing at the same time. For viewers, the viral clip may look like another chaotic headline in an endless stream of celebrity family drama. For the people living it though, this is much more than a trending moment. It is a test of judgment, accountability, and direction. The noise online may eventually die down, but the consequences will not disappear nearly as fast. Now the attention turns to what happens next. Will this become a brief episode that fades with time, or the moment that forces a deeper reckoning? That answer will not come from a podcast clip, a comment section, or a viral repost. It will come from the choices King makes next, and from how the legal process unfolds around him. A parent can stand up for their child and speak to who they are, but the choices that shape a life still belong to that person alone. In 2026, those choices rarely remain private for long. One arrest becomes a joke online. That joke gets recycled into podcast debates. Before long, those discussions spill into face-to-face moments captured on camera for everyone to dissect.
Nothing fades anymore. The internet keeps everything in circulation, and family matters can quickly become public entertainment. What once might have stayed behind closed doors now follows people across timelines, comment sections, and interview clips long after the moment has passed. King Harris is 21 years old. He is already a father. He is building his identity as a rapper. At the same time, he carries the visibility that comes with being the son of T.I. and Tiny. That combination creates a spotlight few people ever experience, where every move can be judged, replayed, and turned into a bigger conversation. Right now, that spotlight is fixed on him. People are not just reacting to headlines, they are watching for what comes next, trying to figure out which path he will take and what kind of man he wants to become in public view. The real question is no longer whether people are paying attention. It is which version of himself King Harris will choose to show the world next.